All right. Ed is a communication strategist who is passionate about creating memorable and meaningful learning experiences that help others do their job more effectively. He's also a fan of Ignatian spirituality, the Chicago Cubs, and riding the Trek bike, mountain bike to work whenever it's possible. Give it up for Ed.
It was just 30 degrees that morning at the Boulder Pass campground at Glacier National Park in Montana. When we got out of our tents to pack up our gear and head down the mountain. So when my friend Matt said, "We're going back, Ed. Here's the permit. You're in charge," I was a bit surprised. So while the 5 of us began the trip just 2 days earlier, only 3 of us were going to continue hiking down the mountain because Matt and Mark were in serious danger of hypothermia. It was then that it hit me that this trip wasn't going to be a walk in the park for us city slickers. This was serious business. We're in the middle of nowhere and someone could die. With mixed emotions, Joe, Steve, and I hiked down the pass that morning. But by noon, the weather began to change and the clouds began to burn off, revealing mountainous wonderland. It was like seeing a giant ship come out of the mountains, out of the fog, and it made you say, "Whoa." At this elevation, this picture kind of illustrates that we felt like we were hiking on top of the world amidst these mountain peaks. At one point, enjoying the scenery, I innocently kicked a rock off the side of the trail and heard a distant clunk at the bottom of the mountain. It reminded me how dangerous this trip was and that we could fall over this side at any moment. By mid-afternoon, we made our way down into the valley at the hole-in-wall campground. They call it hole-in-the-wall because somehow a glacier carved out this valley between the mountains that surrounded the campsite. For me, the adventure of hiking all day in a place like Glacier is rewarding to then end up at our campsite and share dinner and conversation. There's something comforting about a campfire. Our trip to Glacier saw us covering 30 miles in 5 days, which doesn't sound like a lot of mileage per se on a flat terrain, but the changes in elevation with all our packs made it more difficult. As you trek on the trail each day from campsite to campsite, you occasionally run into other hikers along the way. And there's a sense of kinship in that. You're both soaking in the atmosphere of the beauty around you, but also testing your strength and resolve in the elements. So you look out for each other. One of the scary things about this trip was the proposition that we might run into grizzly bears. This was not something I was looking forward to. The key, we were told, was to make plenty of noise when you're hiking on the trail so that the bears would naturally hear you and stay away. And one day I was making so much noise that my friend Joel said to me, "Ed, if you keep shouting like that, we'll never see a bear." And I said, "Well, that's kind of the point, isn't it?" There's lots of flora and fauna in Glacier National Park. And this particular flower is called the alpine daisy. They grow above the tree line in Glacier. See dozens of flowers like this. My other favorite one is called the Indian paintbrush. Love that name, the Indian paintbrush. Something else you see a lot of in Glacier is waterfalls. They're everywhere. As you're hiking, you'll hear the rushing sound of water flowing through creeks and streams. It's beautiful and invigorating. It also provides practically a supply of water to drink and cook with at night. And here's even more waterfalls. Can you hear the water coming down the side of the mountain? One of the reasons the Park Service limits the amount of campers, in this case to 10 people in this campsite, is that they want to try and preserve the beauty of the area and limit the human impact on the natural surroundings. As you walk amongst the beauty, though, the waterfalls, you come to realize that the water is coming from the melting glaciers, and that's kind of humbling. So it's bittersweet because we need that water to live on, but then also the glaciers are getting diminished, and that's one of the reasons I went to Glacier in the first place, is I wanted to see the glaciers before they were gone. Besides the strenuous part of hiking Glacier, one of the peaceful moments is sitting having dinner watching the sunset. And this mountain is called Thunderbird Mountain. We sat there for 30 minutes waiting for the clouds to burn off so we could see the mountain as the sun drifted down the horizon. It's just a beautiful sunset. Another aspect of the sunset is seeing them reflected in water. This is 10,000-foot Kintla Peak, which is reflecting into Kintla Lake below it. So it gives you really a sense of peace and quiet at the end of the day to reflect on what you experienced. So you have a chance to go to Glacier National Park. I recommend that you be prepared to experience beauty and awe. Be prepared for rain, sun, and snow. And be prepared for the challenge of being disconnected from the comfort of safety of civilization and carrying everything in your backpack. And if you do go, I promise you, you'll end up a bit more tired and sore than when you left. You'll learn to face your fears like I did, related to meeting a grizzly bear. And if you go, I promise you'll find a sense of peace from spending a week of time in nature and knowing you were found worthy of meeting the challenge. Thank you.